Okay, folks. Welcome aboard, by the way. Ready to rock and roll?
Let's go.
Ready. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to tonight's meetings. We have a two-part meeting, land use and regular planning and zoning. We'll start with the land use first. So everyone, please rise for the invocation and the pledge of allegiance. Are you gonna say the invocation?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to meet here today and provide us our wisdom to make good decisions for the city and for our community. And bless us all. Thank you.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. May be seated. Do we have people on Zoom tonight? We do? Okay.
Meeting guidelines. The following guidelines apply to today's planning and zoning board meeting. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on any item on the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may hear the meeting live through telephonic conferencing using any telephone or cellular phone service. A smart device or computer are not necessary to participate in the meeting if you join by phone. All persons participating via the web platform will be muted during the meeting until called upon to be heard. Participation through Zoom requires a computer or smart mobile device with a microphone and web camera. The participant may elect to participate in the meeting using audio only or appear through both audio and video. The video function of all participants appearing through video will be turned off until called upon to be heard. All lobbyists must register with the Planning and Zoning Board prior to item being heard. A maximum 4 speakers in favor and 4 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the Planning and Zoning Board on any item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Roll call. Mr. D. Perez,
Here.
Mr. Gamon is absent. Mr. Iglesias,
Here.
Mr. Jimenez,
Here.
Mr. Ulloa,
Here.
Mr. Casanova,
Here.
Mrs. Enriquez. Here. We have a quorum. Administration of oath to all applicants and anyone who will be speaking before the board on any item.
Anyone in the audience that's going to be speaking in front of the board, please stand, raise your right hand. Anyone in the electronic audience? We'll do the same. Please stand, raise your right hand.
Do you sort of or affirm to tell the truth before this board?
Okay, thank you. The gentleman on Zoom, just give me a thumbs up. Beautiful. Thank you. Let the record show that the answer was on the affirmative. Okay. Las personas que van a testificar al frente de nosotros, lo que sean en español, pónganse de pie para jurar, pero lo que ya juraron ya. Okay. Póngase, preste juramento, eso no lo duele. ¿Jura usted que va a decir la verdad, solamente la verdad frente a esta junta? Thank you. All ready?
Summary minutes or a copy of the audio file of the proceedings before the Planning and Zoning Board shall be prepared and submitted to the City Council before its hearing. The Planning and Zoning Board recommendations for the following public hearing requests will be heard by the City Council at a scheduled meeting of Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. LU1, small scale map amendment from industrial to transit-oriented development district. Properties located at 1145 East 24th Street, Hialeah zoned M1 Industrial District. Applicant 1140 East owner LLC.
Make sure that all the microphones are turned on, please. Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman,
Good
board members. My name is Javier Zayas Bazan. My address is 1110 Brickell Avenue, Suite 504, Miami, Florida 33131.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
The property in this application is located on the north side of West 24th Street, east of the railroad tracks. The property has industrial land use and is adjacent on its north side to the property located at 1140 East 25th Street, whose land use was amended to TOD in 2022. The applicant is before the city requesting a land use change from industrial to TOD in order to consolidate this property with the one that already has TOD land use, with the purpose of developing the consolidated parcel in accordance with TOD regulations. The requested land use is consistent with Goal 4 and all related policies of the future land use element of the comprehensive plan, compatible with the surrounding uses and in line with the city's vision for the TOD district. The location of the site, almost adjacent to regional and local mass transit, will encourage transit use and reduce the number of trips that a regular multifamily development would typically generate. It will also further objectives 1.5 and 1.7 of the transportation element of the comprehensive plan. The site is served by Pump Station 0411 that is in okay status. Prior to development, the applicant will need to submit plans to the Public Works Department in order to determine the required infrastructure improvements, for example, water and sewer main extensions. The Miami-Dade County Public Schools preliminary concurrency review is in process. The recommendation is approval.
Thank you, Mr. Storch. Comments or questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and board members. And I want to begin by saying that I am one of the owners. I'm one of the members of the owner applicant entity, and I'm here with my partner, Mr. DeGale, and our architect, Mr. Spokojny. Mr. Spokojny can speak to more of the details of the building, but at a glance, the building that we are proposing to build is essentially 189 residential apartments. Their parking is 209 parking spaces, while we are focused on being a transit-oriented development, and that is our primary motive. We wanted to make sure that we did have ample parking in the building so that it is a user-friendly building for the residents. The amenities are going to be health and wellness focused. There will be a fitness center. There will be a pickleball court / basketball court amenity with a yoga studio. We are hoping that we will attract a demographic that is broad, that young professional. And I can tell you as a person who works in the Brickell area, there are plenty of young professionals that work in Brickell that would love to move into this building if it were in existence tomorrow. We want to focus on quality, market accessibility, and a lot of people don't know that this strip is located in Hialeah because it is east of Tri-Rail. And as Ms. Storch pointed out, it is a very critical nexus point for transit that is county, regional, and even national with Amtrak not too far away. And what we want to present is Hialeah's best impression as you come in from east to west on that main thoroughfare of 25th Street that turns into the 79th Street Causeway. That's why Mr. Spokojny has dedicated a lot of effort on providing the highest quality design possible within our budget.
They will be presenting the rezoning also in this meeting, so maybe you want to reserve your presentation for that time and you explain the building and everything.
Excellent. Sounds good. Thank you, Ms. Storch.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Is that it for now?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the board?
Through the chair.
Yes.
What is this? You're gonna build a building or?
Yes, Mr. Jimenez, it is a residential apartment building. It will be owner operated. We do not intend on selling any condominium units. We do intend to build and operate the actual residential apartment building. It is mixed use, so there is a street front retail component along 25th Street.
That's what I wasn't sure if it was gonna be commercial as well.
You look at the Zoom and she's showing the picture
Oh, okay.
there. The one before that,
Oh.
there.
That's beautiful.
Are you good, Ms. Aaron?
Yes, motion to approve.
Thank you. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but let's stick to protocol. Any more comments or questions from the board? Anyone in the audience have a comment or question on this item? Anyone in the electronic audience? Okay, closes up our public hearing. We do have a motion on the floor.
Second. Motion by Mr. Jimenez, second by Mrs. Enriquez. Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. Casanova,
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
item has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
LU two, small scale map amendment from low density residential to medium density residential. Property is located at 455 West 25th Street and 555 West 25th Street, highly zoned. Is it M1? No, that's incorrect. R31.
No, R1.
Oh, R1. R1, one family district. Applicant Alejandro J. Arias, Esquire on behalf of Hialeah Housing Authority.
I know, you're right. The current zoning is R31.
R31, multiple family district.
Name and address, please.
Good evening, Chair, Board members, Alejandro Arias, offices at 701 Brickell Avenue, representing the applicant, Hialeah Housing Authority.
Thank you, sir. Good evening.
The properties in this application are located in the Seminola area and include 2 blocks surrounded by West 26th Street to the north, West 26th Street to the south, West 4th Avenue to the east, and West 6th Avenue to the west. The site includes 7.03 acres of land that currently has low-density residential land use and is zoned R31. The property is developed with 79 single-family homes built in the 70s and is owned by Hialeah Housing Authority. The properties on the north and west have industrial land use, and the properties to the south have high-density land uses and low-density land uses. However, the low-density residential properties are mostly zoned R3, and only 3 out of 9 are zoned R2. None of the properties are zoned R1. Hialeah Housing Authority is continuously evaluating low-income residents' needs, and the subject site was noticed as a future opportunity site for density increase through redevelopment that would open housing alternatives for more low-income residents. At this time, the applicant has no definite plans for the site, but needs to lay the ground to have a higher density land use and platting in place to go through the process of obtaining funds that would allow redevelopment of the site. As a result, the applicant is requesting a land use change from low-density residential to medium-density residential, not only for future redevelopment purposes, but also to make the land use consistent with existing R31 zoning of the property. The proposed land use change is consistent with the City of Hialeah Comprehensive Plan, Future Land Use Element, Goal 1, Policy 112, 116, and with Goal 1, Policy 112, and Policy 155 of the Housing Element. Infrastructure availability will be evaluated at the time of concurrency and site plan review, given that there are no definite redevelopment plans at this time. In summary, compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood, consistency of land use and zoning, and consistency with the City of Comprehensive Plan, resulting in an approval recommendation for this request.
Thank you.
Iselis, would you be able to put up the presentation, please?
Yeah, let me see.
Good old Seminola is back, huh?
Give me 1 second. Did it pop up?
Go to the next slide, please. Evening once again, Chair, Board members. As I'm sure you're all familiar with, this organization, since its establishment by the Hialeah City Council in 1967, has been dedicated to providing this community with quality, affordable housing. It currently provides housing assistance to over 5,000 eligible low-income families throughout the city, and also provides an important role as part of the social services network of the city. Next slide, please. The subject property here is approximately 7 acres and is situated just west of Red Road, between West 25th Street and West 26th Street, key thoroughfares of the city. Next slide. The property, a residential subdivision known as the Donald F. Scott Residential Villas, is currently improved with 79 residences that were originally built in 1971. Next slide. The subject property has a land use designation of residential low density, and given the location and the older inventory on the property, the applicant is evaluating future needs for low-income residents in the future. Next slide. As such, we're here tonight in order to redesignate the property to the medium-density residential land use category. It's imperative for me to truly state that this is an initiative that's being undertaken for strategic future purposes. There's no definite or immediate plan to redevelop the site in the near future. This is a 3 to 5 year window, but it is a necessary first step in the process. And it's required in order to obtain the necessary elements to make this development into a realization one day. This includes obtaining the funding sources, obtaining the required entitlements, but ultimately, once that plan is further cemented in the future, we will come back before this board for the zoning entitlements, for the site plan, and show a true development program before you. But again, I just want to highlight that there's no immediate intention of demolishing the existing buildings there. There's no displacement of current residents at this point. And furthermore, in the future, we'll do what was recently done with the Hoffman project and the Hoffman Gardens project, which was we will find appropriate relocation housing for those residents. And once the development is being undertaken, we'll make sure that they're taken care of before they then come back to a brand new housing stock product. So ultimately, this request is consistent with the goals and policies of the city's comprehensive plan and will serve Hialeah Housing's noble mission to increase greater housing stock and quality housing opportunities. And it'll also be readily accessible to employment centers and public transportation. So with that, I'm here to answer any questions you may have, and I respectfully request approval. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Comments or questions from the board? No. I have one small question, and it piggybacks on the comment you made, like, to that other project from a couple years ago, I believe it was.
I think
Yeah.
early last year, we got.
Yeah.
Via Mariposa. No.
Hoffman Gardens.
Hoffman Gardens.
Right. Will these tenants, residents, they're not owners, right? They're
No, this is a rental
it's
program.
a
for
high,
low
it's,
income.
it's a highly housing.
Correct.
Okay. Will these individuals, these people per se, will they be given like they did at the other project, first bid, or in other words, first chance to, come back once?
So I have Frank Mestre from Hialeah Housing Authority here. In discussing with him, it is my understanding that first, we'll make sure that when they're relocated, they'll have
Right.
appropriate housing, and then they'll have the first right
First
of
bid,
coming into
right.
the brand new
Okay.
housing stock.
Because that was a big thing with that other project that we all agreed on. And that was a stipulation that, that we wanted the residents to at least have first bid or first chance to, because if I'm not mistaken, the homes that were sourced for them temporarily, some of them liked it much better and didn't want to come back. So, but at least they were given the opportunity to.
Yeah, and remember, the mission here is to provide appropriate housing. for
Right.
them. So it really isn't, get them out and bring somebody else in. It's provide them with brand new updated housing stock.
Right,
So
right.
that's certainly the mission.
Yeah,
And also, as the city grows, the need grows.
right. Yeah, because I mean, you've been here long enough. You know some of the horror stories from, especially the trailer parks. When
very
they got
recently, yeah.
displaced, and it was a fiasco, and we don't want to go there. Again, that was just my just a little curiosity point. Yeah. Any comments or questions? Please do.
Is it gonna be like townhomes or is it gonna be?
I believe this will be more of a multifamily style product because we'll be able to increase the density that we can get there. Right now, you have 70 something units on the site, and I don't think, the applicant does not believe that that's the maximum utilization for that property. That's 7 acres around thoroughfare. So you can provide a lot more housing stock, quality housing stock with that kind of.
It's not gonna be apartment buildings like Mariposa or anything like that. It's gonna be.
Well, maybe yes. The mission of the Hialeah Housing Authority is to provide affordable housing And if they, in 7 acres, they have 79 homes, it's not cost effective. They have a waiting list. There are people everywhere complaining that the rents are too high. So this is a site that is a big site that will give opportunity for them to build something that will be able to accommodate.
The
more
reason I
residents.
ask is because right now the people that are there are living in what seems like to me from what I see.
Single family homes, right?
Like single family homes.
Duplexes and single family.
Duplexes.
Are they gonna actually come back to an apartment or are they gonna come back to a townhouse or some type of villa? That's the only question I had.
I don't know how it works. Maybe Hialeah Housing knows better, but I think that the type of house or townhouse that you get is related to the number of members in the family. So maybe, yes, there are people living there now that maybe have 2 or 3 kids, that by the time this is built, the kids are no longer in the home. So maybe their need is not to return to a house. The houses are there and they are recirculating depending on the needs.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there they will have bigger units. In the other Hoffman Gardens that they are developing, there they will have some townhouses. So the people will rotate and will have the opportunity to live in the places that they need for the size of their family.
Yeah, right now, it really is just strategic planning. All we're seeking is to get to up to 24 dwelling units an acre, but there is no development program that's been put in place. So at that time, there may be a mix that can be accumulated, but for right now, it's just strategic planning, trying to understand what's the maximum housing stock that we can get there, and then going from there to prepare a development program.
Thank you.
Now, for the record, this is the Hialeah Housing Authority. It's not,
No, this is
it's
highly
not
housing.
Shoma
authority.
Homes or whatever, right? It is the,
No, this is Hialeah Housing.
does that, is that?
As
does that
enacted
sync a
by
little
the
bit
city
better?
council.
Okay, all right, thank you. Comments or questions from the audience? Anyone in the electronic audience? This is part of the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Iglesias, second by Mr. Casanova. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. Casanova,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
item has been approved.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Good night.
Night.
LU3, small scale map amendment from industrial and office, Miami-Dade County to industrial. Properties located at 11190 West 40th Avenue, Hialeah zoned A, agricultural MDC designation. Applicant Chad Friedman, Esquire, on behalf of Miami Lakes Storage LLC.
Name and address, please.
Good evening, Alejandro Uribe with office at 2800 Ponce de Leon Boulevard, here on behalf of Miami Lake Storage. I'm here on behalf of my partner, Chad Friedman.
Thank you, sir.
The property in this application is located in Hialeah Heights at the southwest intersection of West 40th Avenue and West 114th Terrace, and is adjacent on its north side to the Hialeah reverse osmosis water treatment plant. The property is vacant and has an open code enforcement case and violations with DERM. At this time, the applicant is before the city requesting a land use change from industrial and office that is a Miami-Dade County land use designation that is a carryover from when the UDB line was moved to incorporate the northwest quadrant of Hialeah Heights. So they want to change this to industrial in order to get a land use classification consistent with the future land use map of the city of Hialeah that would allow future redevelopment. The applicant's intent is to redevelop the property with a 4-story self-storage facility. No site plan is considered and evaluated at this time. Infrastructure capacity will be evaluated at the concurrency and site plan review phase. The proposal is consistent with the land uses in the immediate area and with policy 1.5.1 of the city of Hialeah comprehensive plan related to land use consistency. The recommendation is approval.
Thank you. You have the floor.
Good evening again. The property's current land use designation is a carryover from before the extension of the urban development boundary. And while the city zoned this property BDH, which is the Hialeah Heights district, the subject property was not given a city of Hialeah recognized future land use designation. So now it sits in this section, which is completely or almost entirely comprehensive plan designated industrial under Hialeah, it's kind of a little donut hole that still has this Miami-Dade County industrial and office designation. This application just seeks to harmonize that because we, in consultation with staff, the development of this site, not just for in the case of this property that's going to be a self-storage facility, but any sort of development would require this step in order to allow the city of Hialeah to review and approve any future development. So the property's immediate surroundings reflect an industrial pattern. It reflects exactly what we're asking for. To the north, as mentioned, is a reverse osmosis plant owned by the city of Hialeah. To the east, west, and south are large-scale warehouses and logistics hubs with the distribution type of uses. So we feel that the change would certainly be consistent, as mentioned. And as mentioned, we're not reviewing the site plan here. However, a site plan application has been submitted to the Planning and Zoning Department, and those plans are under review. We submitted them along with this application.
Yeah, but that is not the way that site plans are reviewed. You submitted a replatting that is in process.
Correct.
And this application, once you have the platting approved and that you have the zoning in place, you will have to prepare a different package for concurrency and site plan review. Your submittal is just a reference.
Understood. I apologize then. I wasn't familiar then with that. We thought we were submitting it all at once, but that's fair and certainly couldn't be approved before this application is approved. I believe the zoning already is in place because the BDH will allow a self-storage facility. And we just want to note that this property has excellent access along West 40th Avenue. Also, is known as Northwest 102nd Avenue. It's a very wide thoroughfare, I believe almost 70 feet. And then there's also going to be a new connection to the turnpike. It's under construction at Northwest 70th Street, which is just a little over half a mile from this property. There's access both on and off both directions on the turnpike. So in conclusion, the applicant feels that this application will result in the property getting the same designation as most of its neighbors, reinforcing the uniform, harmonious pattern for the area, which is consistent with the city's intention for the Hialeah Business District, so Hialeah Heights District. And staff, of course, has reviewed, it's recommending approval, and I would respectfully ask that for your recommendation as well. Thank you. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Comments or questions from the board?
Through the chair.
Please go.
Where is this located? Because I mean, this
In-
address,
In Hialeah Heights.
West
Hialeah
75.
Heights, west of 97th.
is that the annex, the new area?
Yeah,
yes.
Correct.
Okay, and you want from industrial office and office to just industrial?
Well, he needs to have that, because this northwest quadrant of the annexation area, was outside the UDB line, the urban development boundary. So no one could build anything there. So the city presented an application before the county to move the UDB, and now the UDB line coincides with the line of the turnpike. And to be able to do that, we had to choose Miami-Dade County designation, and it was industrial and office. So all of the properties that are there came little by little to change the land use. Since we knew that they had to do that, we created a zoning for the whole area, so they wouldn't need to come again for the zoning, because we all knew what the zoning was going to be there, that is consistently BDH. That's why, to cure some violations that they have in the property with them and with the city, the first thing they need to do is to change the land use to have a land use that is consistent with the city comprehensive plan, and then continue with all the process, and one day they will redevelop the property.
Okay. Look on your package here. I believe it's page number 3. It's this little red dot way up there.
Thank you.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Anyone else on the board? Anyone in the audience? Comment or question? Anyone in the electronic audience? Closes public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second that motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Jimenez, second by Mr. Casanova and Mr. Iglesias. Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Casanova,
Yes.
Mr. De Perez.
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias.
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez.
Yes.
Item has been approved.
Thank you all.
LU four. Small scale map amendment from low density residential to commercial. Property is located at 383 West 35th Street, Hialeah zoned R2, 1 and 2 Family Residential District. Applicant Cesar Mestre Esquire.
Good afternoon, Cesar Mestre Law Offices at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida.
Thank you, sir.
Is it a video?
No, it's a slide.
That's what's in what you gave me. I don't see a slide, Caesar. Here.
And Google.
We're having some technical difficulties.
Is it because he's not on Zoom? Is it because he's not on Zoom?
You know what?
That might be.
That's a very good observation. You heard that, Caesar?
No.
It's technical difficulties because you're not on Zoom. You're live.
Used to that.
You have two sticks. Are you sure you're looking at the right one?
I'm trying to.
There's another one. Too.
No, that's 11:45.
Sorry, guys.
This one, okay.
Do you have it on your phone?
Where is that open? Where is it open? Y voy a poner esa ahí.
If you want, we can postpone it. You can get it on your phone. You mail it to us. We put it in the computer. I don't know how we can do that.
If we could just, could you pass it? And I'm gonna see if I can get it on my phone and send it to you.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay.
Okay.
So we leave this like in suspense and we go to the rest and then we.
In suspense, I like that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just kind of like skip this item for now and come back to it while Mr. Messer figures out the little bugs in the system. So that will actually,
Well, hold on, because we'll be closing out a meeting right now. We're closing out the land use portion of the meeting.
But can we close it? Can we leave it open?
No, we can't leave it open and move on to the planning and zoning portion. We would have to close out the land use and move forward. If we close it out,
Well,
the meeting would be
yesterday
open.
In the council meeting,
Okay.
we were going back and forth from the zoning to the land use as needed. And then at the end, we finished the land use. Because there were some zoning
Well,
issues that needed to be, the land use needed to be read first. So we brought them from the land use to the meeting and.
What we'll do is we'll tentatively close the land use and we'll leave it open to come back to.
Okay.
So you can close the meeting and then we'll reopen it.
Okay,
see, you have a gift for the gab. Okay, I wasn't going to use tentatively per se, but I was going to suggest, let's put it on hold and we can come back to it. But I like your explanation better. Is that okay with the rest of the board?
Yes, sir. It's fine.
Okay, so why don't we just go ahead and tentatively temporarily close this meeting for now, the land use amendment meeting. Okay, with conditions that we will come back to it before the night it's over. Okay, so tentatively, land use is temporarily closed.
Motion to approve.
Well, we don't have to,
Well,
no, we don't have to.
okay.
We would just move on to the regular planning and zoning meeting.
Okay, so item number 1. Approval of Planning and Zoning Board summary agenda of March 15, 2023, as submitted.
Motion,
Motion to approve. Second.
So motion by Mr. Casanova, second by Mr. Iglesias. Mr. D. Perez,
yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Casanova,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez,
I wasn't here. Do I still have to vote?
Yes.
You're here today.
Mr. Iglesias.
Yes.
Item has been approved.
Okay, just for a little bit of housekeeping here. Everyone present and also electronically present would be honored as, you've already sworn in and stuff, so we don't have to redo it again. So you've been acknowledged.
A written decision and resolution will be prepared and presented for review to the city council. The city council is authorized to affirm with conditions or override the decisions by resolution. After the resolution is adopted, contact the member of the city clerk's office to obtain a copy of the final decision and resolution. Upon your receipt of the final decision and resolution, contact the building department to obtain your required building permit. Summary minutes or a copy of the audio file of proceedings before the Planning and Zoning Board shall be prepared and submitted to the city council before its hearing. The Planning and Zoning Board recommendations for the following public hearing requests will be heard by the city council at a scheduled meeting of Tuesday, April 25th, 2023. Okay, so item number 2 is a table item from March 15th meeting. We will need to untable it.
Okay, can we get a motion?
Motion to approve. Second that motion.
So motion was Mr. Casanova,
Yes.
second by Mr. Iglesias. Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez. Yes. Mr. Jimenez.
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Casanova.
Yes.
Item has been removed from table. Item number 2, final decision to allow rear setback of 20.2 feet where 25 feet are required for a proposed aluminum pergola. Properties located at 51 East 60th Street, Hialeah zoned R1, one family district. Applicant Dunieski Dieguez and Alejandro Cruz Solis.
Good afternoon,
Name and address, please.
Manuel Rivera, 15755 West Point Park.
Can you repeat your name, please?
Manuel Rivera
So he's
presented a power of attorney for
okay.
from the homeowner.
Perfect. Okay. So the property in this application is located on the north side of East 60th Street between Palm Avenue and East First Avenue. The lot is improved with a 2,100 square feet residence built in 2019. The applicant is before the city requesting an adjustment of the rear setback to 20.2 feet where 25 feet are required for the construction of a pergola. The property requires 30% pervious area, 1,620 square feet, while the property only has 1,014 square feet of pervious area. Reduced pervious area is not acceptable since it will impact the adjacent homes, which would get flooded if the required pervious area of the lot is reduced. Accordingly, paved areas will need to be reduced in order to provide the required pervious area. The rear setback variance may be approved with the condition that the required 30% pervious area is provided. Recommendation approved with these conditions.
Thank you. Is this, this is the one from last meeting where
Yes.
we suggested for him to
Yes.
go away and get the, okay.
That's it.
And you do have that.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Thank you. Comments or questions?
The patio, the pervious area, that's work that was just done last year, I believe, and it was presented with permits and approved. Was that still need to be?
We don't approve anything that if you don't comply with the 30% pervious area. So by the time you come and pull the permit for the pergola, you will need to provide a 30% pervious area. If not, it cannot be approved. There's a requirement in the city code that all the residential properties should 30% pervious area.
No, what I'm referring to, yeah, in regards to the.
Because the plan that was presented in 2020 shows that there is pervious area, and apparently now there's more area that is paved than before. So you will need to provide that.
Okay.
To the chair,
But
do you have any pictures of what the pervious area looks like?
pictures of what the pervious area looks like.
Yeah, your patio.
I don't have any photos, but whatever, it's not concrete, which is detailed on the site plan, it's rocks. So on both sides of the property, the left side has a walkway and rocks. The rear side of the property, it's all rocks, and the right side, it's all rocks, which we purposely did for better drainage and that we don't overflow the neighbors.
And the area that is not pervious, is that all concrete?
It's a stamped concrete.
Is it possible, Deborah?
The concrete patio was recently done, I think 2 years ago. And the homeowner did pull permits for it and it was approved. It wasn't me who did it, so I don't know if it was, but it was processed with permits and it was done per plan, because I did double check the measurements.
And that is.
Well, there is extra, the survey shows extra paved area that was not in place when they came and pulled that permit. So they will have to refer to the old permit, and whatever was added will need to be removed. Maybe in 2020, they got the permit, but afterwards they added some concrete that they should have.
I'll go ahead and get the, I guess the records of what was approved. But I recall it was right at the time where it was.
Whatever it is, you have to comply with the 30% pervious area because there's no variance for that. So whatever it is, even if that was approved by mistake, they will need to comply with the 30% pervious area.
Okay. Is that the only condition to approve the pergola as is?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect. Does that answer your question, Jimenez?
I'm just wondering, is it possible to cut maybe the concrete, do like little?
We don't have to worry about that. They will have, when they present their permit, they will have to look at the plans and propose what they will do. We are here to review the plans, not to make the recommendations on where to cut the concrete. They can come to the department, get some advice that is, I'm giving the requirements, and then they will take care of that.
I'll just probably present to the homeowner, which is his less preferred area, or the area where he thinks he'll least use, and just remove that area just to comply.
I'm
Make it
just
easier.
clarifying, because when they come and pull the permits, I don't want them to make permits and then have them rejected. So I prefer to clarify, so they are prepared when they come to pull the permit, they look at this detail of the 30% day area and make sure that they will be provided.
So it'll be proposed to build pergola and remove X amount of.
Exactly.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see like a picture or something to see where the concrete was at.
Any more comments or
It's hard to
questions?
say with survey.
Any more comments or questions? No. Anyone in the audience have a comment or question? Anyone in the electronic audience? Do you understand what's being said here?
Yes, sir.
That there are conditions that you need to,
Yes, sir.
I don't hold it back any punches, I tell you just like it is, and as you can see, it's
That's the condition. I'll take it.
good deal.
I think
it's
it's simple.
All right, that being said, what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve with conditions.
Second.
So motion by Mr. Iglesias, second by Mrs. Enriquez. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. Casanova,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez.
Yes.
Item has been approved with conditions.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
And these are final decisions, right?
Let me read this one. Item number 3, final decision to allow a rear setback of 14.7 feet, where 20 feet is required for the legalization of an existing addition. Property is located at 8030 West 15th Court, Hialeah Zones R1, one family district. Applicant Mario Figueredo.
Name and address, please.
Mario Figueredo, 122 Northeast 17th Street, Homestead, Florida, 33030.
Thank you.
It's a hike.
Give me 1 second. The property in this application is located on the west side of West 15th Court, south of West 81st Street. The property is zoned R1 and is improved with a single-family house originally built in 1968 as a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with an attached garage. An addition for a covered terrace with a 25 feet rear setback, a family room, and the detached shed was built in 1987 under permit 87641. All structures were built without plumbing. Over the years, the 1987 open terrace got turned into a living area, and an adjacent structure was added on the north to include a bathroom, and new terraces were built without the benefit of a building permit. A code enforcement case was opened in 2002 for building without permits. At this time, the applicant is before the city requesting a final decision to adjust the rear setback to 14.7 feet, where 20 feet are required, for the legalization of the former terrace, now improved as a den and bedroom and bathroom addition that have an independent entrance from the terrace and a separate AC unit. The reduced setback could be approved with the condition that the independent entrance to the terrace area converted into a living area, including a bathroom, be removed to avoid the creation of a second living unit in this single-family home. The recommendation is to approve with these conditions.
Thank you.
The recommendation for the removal of the door leading to the terrace is, it's only for the door or the bathroom as well?
That area to be legalized need to be incorporated into a house, and it cannot have exterior doors that would allow that to be converted into a second unit.
Correct. If we provide a double door with that leading to the terrace, like a master with a double door leading out?
Not on the side of the house, because we all know.
No,
that
it leads to
doors-
the terrace. It doesn't lead to the exterior. It leads to, it would be like a master bedroom that leads out to your terrace. I don't know if you guys have the plans.
Yeah, well.
The door that leads to
No,
the
no,
north.
that's not needed, because you have access from the bedroom, you can access the den, and the den has double doors, and there you can access
And-
to the
okay.
terrace. So
It-
that door that is there, not even single or double, you will have to
Okay.
eliminate.
The bathroom is, can the
The
bathroom?
bathroom is not, the bathroom is shown with the door connecting to the bedroom.
Okay. I guess I read it that the bathroom had to go as well.
No,
But-
no.
okay.
You need the setback because that bathroom was added without
Yeah.
permits. What you will have to eliminate is that door that now leads from the new bedroom to the quarters, because you have access through the den.
Okay.
Okay.
We got that clear now?
Crystal.
I'm glad you got it. Comments or questions from the board? No,
Do you
you
need?
see a
explanation?
lot of thinking heads over here.
Do you need explanation? I can.
You know what, Deborah,
Yes.
please do.
Okay. Let me go. Well, let me put it here in the camera. And let me see. It's okay, you see there,
Back a little bit.
there you can see.
Yeah.
That door that is crossed out is the door that we need to be in.
Okay. That's an interior door
No,
leading to the exterior.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's this door.
yeah.
okay. We seem to be in agreement. All right. So comments or questions? Anyone in the audience? Anyone in the electronic audience? Close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve. Second motion.
With conditions.
With conditions?
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Motion by Mr. Casanova, second by Mr. Iglesias. Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Casanova,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Ms. Enriquez. Yes. Mr. Iglesias.
Yes.
Item has been approved with conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Are we ready for Mr. Mestre or?
No, we're not. We will soon. The Planning and Zoning Board recommendations for the following public hearing requests will be heard by the City Council at a scheduled meeting of Tuesday, April 11th, 2023. Item number 4, rezoning from M1 Industrial District to TOD Transit Oriented Development District. Properties are located at 1140 East 25th Street, 1145 East 24th Street, folio number 04-3108-005-0032, and folio number 04-3108-005-0040. Hialeah zoned M1 Industrial District. Applicant 1140 East owner LLC.
Thank you. Please identify again.
Javier Zayas Bazan for 1140 East Owner LLC, offices at 1110 Brickell Avenue, Suite 504, Miami, Florida 33131.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
When I read my recommendations, you will see like there's a difference in the unit numbers and the parking spaces that are in your plans, because I counted each unit and I counted each parking spaces, and there is a slight difference. This doesn't mean that we are going to limit you to that, because if the plans that you present then have the 189 units, we will approve because it's within the density. And also we don't count the tandem parking. So if you count it, we don't count that. You can use it, but we count it as a single parking. So the properties in this application are adjacent properties, with one fronting East 25th Street and the other one fronting East 24th Street. 1140 East 25th Street land use was amended to TOD in 2022, and 1145 West 24th Street is currently under the land use amendment process, and we considered it earlier today. The applicant is before the city requesting rezoning of both properties from M1 to TOD in order to make land use and zoning consistent and redevelop the consolidated properties in accordance to TOD regulations. The proposed development is an 8-story, 185-unit mixed-use building with a lobby, amenity area, and retail space fronting East 25th Street, lining a parking garage with access on East 25th Street and on West 24th Street. Above the double height first floor, the parking garage is proposed to be lined by a single line of residential units on the 3rd floor, and with a U shape of residential units from the 3rd to the 8th floor, partially enclosing an amenity deck with a pool on the 3rd floor. The proposal includes 49 studios, 96 one-bedroom apartments, 42 bedroom apartments, and 4,000 square feet of retail space, with a parking requirement of 217 parking spaces. Since the parking garage is proposed to include 2004 parking spaces, 13 parking spaces will need to be mitigated through payment in lieu as per section 98-1545D. The proposed building has a contemporary look with a glazed ground floor facing East 25th Street, and articulation provided by framing 2 facade areas with balconies separated by a glass curtain wall. The east and west facades of the building are blank walls proposed to be treated with artistic murals. Given that the requested zoning to TOD is consistent with the land use of the properties and the proposed project is consistent with the TOD master plan and regulations, the rezoning shall be approved. Recommendation approval.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please.
As Ms. Storch pointed out, the proposed project has a curtain wall in the front, which we want to present as a modern facade. The architect recommended having balcony spaces. We were not able to accommodate them for all units, but most of the units have access to the exterior for balcony purposes. And we do have floor to ceiling glass for all the units, in addition to the curtain wall. One of the amenities I failed to mention earlier in a prior meeting was that there is a swimming pool as well. So in addition to the yoga studio, fitness center, and pickleball court or basketball court, there is also a swimming pool. The goal is to create a family-friendly environment. The project is modern, contemporary modern design, 8 stories, about 75 feet in height to the top occupiable slab. I do want to, if I can, defer to the architect in case he wants to add any additional details. Mr. Spokane, do you want to point out any additional details regarding the parking and whatnot?
Gustavo Spokane, 3204 Bird Avenue, Unit 115, Miami, Florida 33133. I mean, you describe it pretty much everything, unless there's specific questions in regards to the architecture. As you mentioned, the idea of the framing of the facade is also to prevent from to play with trying to shorten the long perception of the facade on 25th Street. That's why we wanted to create this frame system. And as the project grew to the back, we also wanted to turn this frame to the side. So we articulate that so we can have that perception on the side. And even though it's not a corner building because we have the train next to us, but we kind of wanted to also create that perception that is actually a corner building. We can't have windows there. We can't have really that much, but we proposed the artistic mural on that side, and also playing with the frame. So, the length of that side is also broken by that frame. And if you move to most of more to the set, like in the back of the set, there's renderings there that probably are more like that. That's a view going east. That's what I was trying to explain, like the idea of the corner perception of the building with the mural. Like you can keep going, and there's more renderings from different angles and different cameras. And that's the style and the proposal. I mean, the rest is pretty much you explain, like the details of it.
Okay, hold on there.
You have copies of this?
Yes, I know, but okay, so by what you have depicted here on these renderings, the building is scheduled to be like L-shaped. Okay, and it's going to be fronting 25th Street for the most part.
Yes, for the most part, yes. It's more of a U shape, we'll say. It's like an extended L shape. Exactly.
Okay, and then towards the western part of it, it would go right up against the right of way of the CSX line.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we actually set it back.
Well, but it's facing west.
Exactly.
So you have the physical frontage of the building is facing
25th.
25th Street.
25th Street, north or south? It's gonna be facing
North.
Okay.
North. Yeah.
So it's gonna be facing north, the front facade, and then the western portion of it will be facing the right
The
of way.
rail, the rail tracks, yeah.
That's why that is a blank wall.
Right. Okay,
The chair,
go ahead.
is there any architectural, I don't know, idea or something to reduce the noise from the train so it doesn't bother the tenants or?
Well, for now, what we are basically doing is having the wall. The wall will be the best buffer, if you will, to mitigate the train. That is, I mean, obviously, we're gonna have insulation and everything that we can do to avoid but we don't want to have windows there because that will be a challenge for sure.
Right.
The residents over time get used to the noise of the train.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the closer, you won't believe this, but the closer you are to the train, the less sound that you hear, and the further you are, you hear more because of how the sound waves go.
Harmonics.
I can tell you that because I live like one block from the Bright Line and the CSX, and I kind of feel my house vibrate when the train passes, but I sleep all night, and you get used to that.
Yeah, and actually, you know, when you get used to it, if you
You're
don't,
waiting
if you
for
don't
it.
have it, you missed it. It's like you know, but in this case, actually, there is a corridor. So we actually, you know, in purpose, we faced the unit to the patio, to the courtyard. So there's an additional buffer with the corridor.
Is this the same project we did the land use previously?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Earlier today.
Okay.
Connected.
And how much more does Hialeah go east? Because I see this is
It
east
goes to
of
37th Avenue.
37.
37.
Oh, so it's
There
right
are, as the further south you go on 37th Avenue, it does cross east, couple of blocks. It's not a straight line, it's kind of jagged.
right.
Okay, as you head south towards the 112. Okay, but it does go, you can say, you throw a line 37th Avenue. That's the boundary line.
And there on 37th Avenue is where we have Factory Town.
Yeah,
So.
big party this past week. Big.
Yeah. And then everything will start over time to tie together.
Yeah. And that train noise and stuff you're talking about is called white noise. You do kind of like, except when they blow the whistle, then you're
I used to be very close
Yeah.
to a train, and it's like, at the end of the day, you want to hear it, like,
Yeah.
you need like to, you know, kind of go to sleep and have.
There's nothing more soothing when you're out there in the middle of nowhere. Okay, and at night, way in the distance, you hear this train whistle. Everything is real quiet, right? And you just hear the train. Oh man, that's just. Anyway, you had to be there. Comments or questions from the board?
Yes, what's around there? Are there more warehouses? Is that like the TOD area that's gonna be completely developed?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
There are more warehouses. There are more warehouses, but for meetings that I'm having in the next few months, you will be seeing many warehouses being converted into.
Okay. Picture 25th Street.
No, I know, I saw where it is. I just wanted to
Right.
just make sure that whatever's around there that I see it's in the renderings will eventually turn into
Right.
something nice.
You got the metro rail on top. To the north, you have that little section, a whole bunch of body shops.
Yeah,
To the west, you have that big fence factory distribution. And to the south, it's all industrial,
Yeah.
warehouses and stuff. So, all right, any more comments or questions?
Yes, to the chair. And the renderings, do you have an idea? Is it gonna be about Hialeah or the mural, I mean?
Actually, Mr. Jimenez, we were discussing among the ownership group about whether or not we could work with any, let's say, organizations that work already with the city. I know it's part of the Leah Arts District, or the Leah Arts District is nearby. Certainly, the ownership group would like to collaborate with local artists, and we've been looking into, some prospects. But we absolutely want to be the first positive impression of Hialeah. Right now, no one knows that's where Hialeah starts, and we don't want anyone to mistake that they're entering Hialeah and it feels like the city of Providence. Okay, so that's That's what we want.
Nice.
Thank you. All right, anyone in the audience, comment or questions? Anyone in the electronic audience? All right, close to the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Jimenez, second by Mr. Casanova. Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Casanova.
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez.
Yes.
Item has been approved.
Thank you very much, everyone.
So be sure to come to the council meeting.
Yes.
April 11th. Okay, so we're ready for Caesar.
We ready to go?
Yeah.
All right, so to make it official on the record, we are going to take one step back to the land use portion of the meeting. We believe that Mr. Messer has all his there, fingers crossed. We believe we have all his information ready to go. And did we read it into the record yet, or you know what? Do the honors anyway.
Cesar Mestre, offices at 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida.
Okay, just for the record, this is land use amendment LU4. Okay.
LU4, small scale map amendment from low density residential to commercial. Properties located at 383 West 35th Street, Hialeah zones R2, 1, and 2 family residential district. Applicant Cesar Mestre Esquire.
While we get our act together here, I would like to take a second here and recognize a gentleman back there in the audience. Mr. Gonzalez used to be a board member a little while ago, right? It's been a few years. Welcome back.
So the property in this application is a corner lot located at the northeast intersection of Red Road and West 35th Street. The property has low-density residential land use and is currently vacant after a house with a long history of violations and illegal units got demolished in 2019. In 2020, the property was granted rezoning to R2 and variances related to the construction of a new contemporary duplex. This was approved by Ordinance 2020-068. The property is adjacent on its east and north sides to single-family residences and fronts residential office properties on its south side. Red Road, north of West 29th Street, has commercial and residential office land uses with scattered single-family residences with its sides facing Red Road. North of West 35th Street up to West 45th Street, the majority of the properties have low-density residential land use, except for 2 properties that have residential office land use since the early 2000s, and 1 property that has medium-density residential land use. At this time, the applicant is before the city requesting a land use change from low-density residential to commercial in relation to a proposal to build a 1-story medical office on this site. The 2020 rezoning approval for the construction of a new duplex was made under the idea that the minor densification of the site with the duplex was compatible as a buffer between a heavily loaded commercial corridor south of West 35th Street and the mostly residential corridor north of West 35th Street. A land use change to commercial defeats such purpose and moves the commercial boundary further north, invading the residential corridor. The requested land use amendment from low-density residential to commercial shall not be approved.
Thank you, Mr. Mestre.
Yes. Let me start by saying that I come in front of you guys quite a bit, and I always try my best to come with a recommendation of approval. I have held projects for long times, working with staff, trying to appease them and come forward with a recommendation of approval. Unfortunately, this file we were not able to do that. We have been talking to staff, and I'll show you slides that show it since August of last year. And we've been complying with requests, redesigns, changing the project. And it was, I was very surprised this morning when I received the recommendation of denial. That's why the PowerPoint wasn't able to be made prior. Let me show you the slide presentation. It's 383 West 35th Street. This is a corner lot that is vacant. It is on Red Road, just east of Red Road. It has the canal to the west, and it's located, so you can kind of see where we are. It's located 1 block north of where you recently recommended approval, and it was approved by the council, the buildings for La Colonia Medical Center. My client owns the property directly to the south and has a medical office there. Go to the next slide, please. This is just showing you where the property is. The next map, the next slide. Okay, this is a slide that shows you from West 29th Street and West 4th Avenue north to West 38th Street. If you see, there is 24 lots located between those two streets. Of those 24 lots, 6 are low density residential. 18 are either residential office or commercial, including a couple of lots to the north of our property. If you see that there. There is only, you see the little green dot, there would only be 3 lots between us to the north and the next residential office zoning or land use on that area. The next slide, that was the land use slide. This is the zoning, is the next one. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see a very similar, obviously, same thing. On the zoning, you have 24 lots, 6 low density residential, 14 residential office, and 4 commercial, including the ones that were just approved by the council and which received a recommendation of approval from you. What we are proposing, next slide, is a med spa, 1-story building that will be facing Red Road. Just go through the next 2 slides. It's a modern building that will complement, and that'll be a new application that's coming, will complement what my client already owns across the street. The only reason you don't have that application before you is because we want the facade and we want the buildings to look the same. It's Dr. Sosa. He has a practice that's been there for many, many years. Next slide. The reason I'm not before you asking for residential office, even though there's so many already on that street, on the same place we are with Red Road, is because, as you can see in this slide, staff has said, and they've written it down, that residential office is an outdated code that is no longer useful. When they came up with it, the doctors were living at home, they were seeing patients, but it has that limitation of 2 licenses. So instead of coming before you and saying, give us RO like everybody else has, we're asking you to give us the commercial so that we can go with the less intense commercial, which would be a B1, just so we can have the med spa with the different licenses in excess of 2. That's all it is. But that's exactly what staff has said before regarding the residential offices. Next slide. This building is located in the same position, but 1 block south of us. So we have my client's building between these two, this one on the corner, and the next one is the one that was approved recently, both with a recommendation of approval from you and was approved by the council recently, yesterday, as a matter of fact. The next slide this is a slide showing that there was a Zoom meeting that we had back in August of 2022. And this was the original layout that was proposed by the architect on this property. This layout is not the same as what is before you now. The building changed. It changed from going east to west to going north to south. That was based on recommendations from staff. So changes were made. The layout was changed completely. The next slide shows you what is going to be coming before you when we do the rezoning, but this is what the proposal is. It's going up and down, away from the residential towards the avenue, trying to keep it uniform. Lastly, last slide. There's mention in staff report about a rezoning, that the property was rezoned, I think in 2020 to R2. And I think that's what's driving what's happening here today. My client purchased this property in 2022. He purchased it because he's the doctor across the street. He saw the lot. He said, this can go great with my building. There's other medical offices going in this area. So let me come forward and see if I can make it an extension of my building over there. And he purchased it in 2022. Why am I telling you that? He had nothing to do with the rezoning to the R2 or whatever happened with that property before. He purchased it and we filed the applications and have been talking with the city with regard to this project. So as I said before, I don't take a recommendation of denial lightly. But at the end of the day, it is a recommendation. But I think that in looking at the map and seeing what's already approved there, that there's commercial properties to the south, there's commercial properties to the north. This would fit in perfectly well with this neighborhood. And it would help my client to have the extension of his office, which has been there for many years. And it's just a 1-story med spa building. That's all it's going to be. So based on that, I would ask for a recommendation of approval, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Mister. Comments or questions from the board?
For the chair.
ahead, you're recognized.
What is a med spot? Like,
It's kind of like where they go and they do Botox and different things for people to look good.
because I'm thinking of like a foot massage or something.
It could be foot massages. It could be that.
If there's foot massage, I like it.
It could be that. Yes.
Is that anything like micro mobility?
Yes.
No. I mean, if there's gonna be foot massage, I mean, motion to
No, because I remember we had a situation with a micro mobility.
device, yes.
Yeah, but you're mixing it with
I know.
microdermabrasion or something.
Yeah.
That
We're gonna have a train whistle inside to help the people relax.
Yeah. When I went to China, I got the best foot massages. It was amazing. So after that, I always want foot massages.
Okay.
What are do you know what the hours of operation will be for this?
We have to come before you for the rezoning, and I can give you more details on that. Like I said, I wasn't expecting this to be so contentious. But I can tell you that it is this size of the building that we're proposing, the layout the same. But I can give you more details on what licenses will be needed, what exactly they're going to do there, the hours of operation, et cetera. I would imagine it's going to be weekdays and not at night, I would think.
Okay. And then surrounding it is houses, right? That's what I saw. I think.
To the
north, yeah.
to the
I was surprised myself because it's true that we work together. They changed the plan. I like the plan. I like the building and everything. But when I started to write the recommendation, that's when I really look at the area. I never knew about the duplex. Now I realize that they didn't know too, because the applicant bought it afterwards. So when I was preparing the recommendation, I said, oh, this is a person that is speculating, first buys the property, wants to the duplex, once that they have a duplex, now they want to go to commercial, that's too much. And if you look at the map, well, he very smartly show you the map from that street south. But if you look at the map from that street north, most of the properties there are residential. So by allowing this, you're starting to move that, which you would be okay, you could be okay or not. But that's what I saw in the map and what I reflected in my report. The project itself, I think it's really good, and it respects the house that it has on the sides. It gives that buffer. It's a modern look.
Yeah,
think
it's
it's
what,
fine, yeah.
that's what I was just looking, because the building itself is designed to go street front
Correct. On Red
with
Road.
the parking in the rear, creating a buffer
The
and
buffer.
stuff.
That's correct.
And by looking at your depiction of the mapping in the area, it's not like, keep going, right there. It's not like we're creating a wedge. I mean, the whole area is already mixed use. So, I mean, if we were creating a wedge and it's like, oh no, it's special favors. You know, I could see
There
it.
actually is residential office north of us.
Right.
There's only 3 in between that are, one's a duplex, which is right next to us, and then the other 2 are
Right.
R1s. But north of that, it's RO also. There's at least a couple.
Through the chair. What I like about it is like I envision Red Road like 49th Street. I mean, it has 3 lanes on each side. So I feel like if there's gonna be medical, like commercial, like that's a great place to have it all commercial. But I understand there's residential, but it's kind of like more to the east. So I think that's an excellent place. And considering La Colonia is like so close and like you have all the medicals together. I don't know. I think it
Well,
fits kind of well.
if you look at the map right here, all the ones in blue are already commercial.
Yeah.
Right, there's like
ROs.
dentists, travel agencies.
So the green dot is the property in question, correct?
That's correct.
Which is just to the north side. Then you have 1, 2, 3 of single family homes, if
Of
you will.
R1s. You have 3 R1s. That's correct.
And it just seems like a better use to do a medical spa where you get foot massages as opposed to just a duplex with no foot massages. So it's a no-brainer for me. Motion to approve.
Okay, well. All right, any more comments or questions?
Not at all.
Anyone in the audience have a comment or question? Anyone in the electronic audience? Okay, folks, I'm going to open the floor for motions.
Motion to approve.
Second motion.
So motion by Mr. Jimenez, second by Mr. Iglesias. Mr. Casanova?
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias?
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez?
Can you come back to me?
Mr. Ulloa?
No.
Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Item has been approved.
Thank you. Do I have to include the foot massages in any type of declaration?
Preferably, preferably.
A little fish, remember.
Okay, with this item, the land use amendment meeting is therefore closed. We will return to the planning and zoning, which we have like, what's like a couple items left?
Yes. So item number 5, variance permit to allow 2 parking spaces where 16 parking spaces are required. Allow backup parking in a commercial area where backup parking is only allowed in low density residential. And allowed a waiver of the landscape requirements. Property is located at 242 West 23rd Street, highly zoned M1 Industrial District. Applicant Claudio Lozada Rodriguez.
The application needs to be amended to 3 parking spaces, because we advertised 2, but they have 3 and extra. We don't need to re-advertise because what we requested is more stringent, so it's okay to do that.
So we can go through with this.
We can go through, but we have to amend variance permit to allow 3 parking spaces for 16.
Noted.
Yeah.
Name and address, please.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Sara Santos, Venetian Street, 7211, Miramar, 33023.
Thank you.
So the property in this application is an industrial site improved with a 5,882 square feet warehouse built in 1940. The applicant is before the city with a proposal to utilize the existing warehouse as an automated food analysis laboratory to be staffed by only 2 operators. The proposal includes the demolition of a 1,055 square feet area located at the front of the building, an interior remodeling to provide for a 210 square feet office, 2 accessible bathrooms, a sample receiving area, and interior partitions to accommodate the different areas required for the processing of the samples. The lab will have an approximate total area 4,927 square feet, from which approximately 2,800 square feet will be used for the lab and 2,100 square feet will be used for storage. These areas result in a parking requirement of 16 parking spaces. By demolishing the front portion of the building, 3 parking spaces backing out to the street are proposed to be built. To be able to run the proposed operation with the proper remodeling, the applicant is requesting a variance to allow 3 parking spaces where 16 parking spaces are required and allow parking to back out into the street where backout parking is only allowed in low-density residential land use. The requested variance could be allowed specifically for the operation of the automated lab with a maximum staffing of 2 employees, provided that if the lab, as described, ceases operation, then the parking variance will be rescinded and the property will be operated as industrial as originally conceived. The recommendation is to approve with these conditions.
Thank you. Comments or questions?
Estoy representando el manager de Seime Corporation, que está ubicada en la 242 West 23 Calle.
She's representing the manager of the corporation for the site located at 242 West 23rd Street.
Y la razón por qué podemos explicar por qué se puede tener solamente 3 parqueos
She
corrigidos.
will explain now why they can have this operation with only 3 parking spaces.
Is she an authorized representative or?
Yes?
Okay.
Yes. Básicamente, la propiedad es un warehouse.
Basically, the property is a warehouse.
Pero fue dividida.
One second, Deborah, did she understand the recommendation that you made, or do we need to translate it into Spanish?
¿Tú entendiste la recomendación que yo hice o querés que la lea en español?
Entendí.
Ah, okay.
Sí,
She
yo
understood.
entiendo, pero estoy más confortable en explicar en
Okay.
español.
She understands but feels more comfortable speaking in Spanish.
Thank you. La razón por qué fue dividida, modificada la propiedad en varias secciones es porque como es un laboratorio, necesita estar divididos los sectores para evitar contaminación.
To avoid contamination, because this is a lab, that's why they are proposing to have all the partitions that are shown in the plans.
Las principales sectores del laboratorio llamamos de extracción.
The principal parts of or section of the laboratory are the extraction.
Y el sector de preparación de muestras.
The sample preparation and the sample preparation.
Yes. Voy por estos 2 sectores principales para explicar por qué solo es necesario 2 empleados.
She will explain how this operates and why they operate with only 2 employees.
Son los 2 sectores principales donde es operado cada uno por una persona.
Both main sections are operated, each of them by 1 person.
Yes. Por eso no es necesario más de una persona.
Well, that's why, They are operated by one person each, and it's only require one person to make those two operations, the extraction and the preparation.
Sí. El tercero sector es el sector de equipos
The
que,
third section is the equipment section.
que es operado, el mantenimiento es hecho por la misma persona que hace la preparación de las muestras.
That the maintenance is performed by the same person that makes the sample preparation.
Y todo lo demás de operación de los equipos es operado remotamente.
And the rest of the equipment are operated remotely.
So, el manager, el químico prepara las muestras, le inyecta a los equipos y remotamente se hacen los análisis desde
So-
las otras unidades.
So the manager, the chemist, inserts the samples and then remotely everything is processed.
Por diferentes países porque tenemos otras unidades en Sudamérica.
That is done by remotely from different countries because they have other subsidiaries in Latin America.
Sí, y tiene acceso a todos los equipos.
And they have access to all the equipment. What they, I will say it in English and then I will translate. What they basically do, and that's why what the manager explained to me, is that they receive through DHL or FedEx, they receive the samples like a little piece of fruit. And then they do all the different analysis and they produce a result that is required. Each country has different requirements for import, export of fruit. Lo que expliqué es que lo que me había explicado el manager, que reciben por correo las muestras con un pedacito mínimo de una fruta y entonces ustedes lo analizan y son diferentes países, tienen diferentes requerimientos, entonces producen un report para cada uno de esos países.
Exactamente.
Are we looking at a possible gain of function virology lab like a Wuhan, where we can expect a coronavirus to leak out of there?
Well, what we are doing here is not doing that analysis. When they come and pull the permits, they will need to go to the health department and all that places that make the analysis. What we are doing here is deciding if the operation that they are proposing, that they are explaining that only needs 2 staff members to justify why they can operate with only 3 parking. So what we are proving is that operation at that site for this particular use, with my recommendation that if one day they cease operations, this returns to be industrial because we don't know if other operations will be able to run with only 3 parking spaces.
But
That's what we are covering. The rest.
I'm not trying to be
is-
facetious. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
be overly cautious.
Well,
Okay.
it is not for me or you to decide. We are not chemists, we are not scientists, so.
Far from a chemist,
So we,
but
we can have our own thoughts, but this is not part of the considerations.
Okay.
We should make sure.
all right,
Through the chair.
go ahead.
Now, how many parking spaces does it currently have available? Because I'm
3.
looking at it in Google
3.
and has
See,
like
because
nothing.
this was developed, well, nothing because there is an addition in the front that they are demolishing that addition. So see, if this was a warehouse, the warehouse would operate like 4,000 square feet with 4 parking spaces.
Is
But
the,
they're building the required dumpster enclosure. They are providing 1 handicap parking spaces and 2 parking spaces. That's the most they can fit, but works for the operation that they are proposing.
is the addition of that warehouse, is that the low one or the high
Yeah,
one?
the low one, the small square that you see, that is what will be demolished to give place to the parking spaces there.
It's just so hard to believe that a 5,000 square foot warehouse, that you're only gonna have 2 employees. I mean, that doesn't seem logical.
Well, she
Right,
explained.
but you
that.
could say that doesn't mean it's gonna be
Well,
executed.
that's why we are approving it for this specific use for this applicant. When they cease operation, whoever wants to come there, if they do industrial, it's okay. If they want to do something different, they need to come before us and request the variance that they need.
I don't know, and I don't like the Wuhan idea either.
I'm telling you,
Not comfortable with that.
when she mentioned
Well, As we explained, we have here to focus
I-
on what is presented to us and not to.
No, I understand, and I understand that it doesn't have anything pertinent to do with the application, but you know, I just,
I'm thinking in terms of the community.
you know,
That's not for us to decide. That's why
I-
there is a health department and there are agencies that dedicate themselves to verify everything.
okay. Any more comments or questions?
Solo un empleado va a estar corriendo. Dos.
Por el momento tenemos uno contratado porque como no estamos operando, no tenemos clientes todavía, no tenemos el segundo empleado. Pero el segundo empleado va a venir para este sector de extracción que yo le expliqué. Y no es necesario más de 2 empleados porque los equipos tienen una capacidad diaria. O sea, si el cliente me envía 100 muestras, un ejemplo, en este día solamente la persona que procesa esta muestra solo puede procesar un límite de 50 muestras al diario.
So what she's explaining is for now they have 1 employee, they will hire another employee, but that the equipment has a certain capacity that even though if she receives more samples, they can only process like 50 per day. So with 2 persons, it's more than enough for what the equipment can process.
So, no hay razón para tener 5 o 10 empleados ahí si no hay
So
razón.
there's no reason that justifies having more than 2 employees.
It seems strange, such a, you know.
Well,
you said-
they will sign a declaration of restrictions. They are committing to this, they are requesting this, they know their business, so.
Tenemos ejemplos de los otros laboratorios que funcionan de la misma forma. Por ejemplo, en República Dominicana, actualmente solo es una persona.
Entonces, la persona que está corriendo el local es el operador de los equipos y si se rompe el equipo, él también lo repara los equipos.
No, eso es por la compañía que provee los equipos. Tenemos la garantía de servicio. Entonces, si se daña el equipo,
Viene la
bien.
persona de servicio.
He's asking if the person that is operating the machines is the one that takes care of the repair, and she explains that all this equipment has a warranty, so if there is some problem, the technician will come and repair the machine.
Entonces, el individuo que trabaja va a hacer prácticamente que va a hacer todo. Va a recibir, si viene mercancía, tiene que recibirla también, porque me imagino que
El jefe de laboratorio se encarga de eso. Las únicas mercancías, vamos a decir, no, las mercancías que recibimos son los productos que él mismo requiere. Él
So
recibe.
He's explaining that if the one person will take care of everything and she receives that she explains that the only merchandise that they receive is the ones that are required by the technician for the lab.
Él mismo es el responsable por pedir y por manejar estos productos. Y lo que implementamos para no haber necesidad, por ejemplo, de una recepcionista, es un buzón que abre automáticamente. Yo soy la que controlo porque yo trabajo home office y recibimos todo a través de este buzón.
So they have a mailbox and everything is submitted to avoid having a receptionist. Everything is left in the mailbox and she's the one that opens the mailbox and receives.
Does this location have a loading dock or anything like?
No.
It's just closed up.
It's an old warehouse with now it doesn't even have parking in the front, but they are demolishing a portion to be able to provide parking in the front.
Okay, just to clarify, this application, the merit of this application is a variance to allow parking.
Exactly. 3 parking spaces were 16 are
So-
required, and she's justifying why 3 parking spaces is enough for the business they are proposing, and will be proffering a declaration of restrictions limiting this parking variance applicable only for the use they are proposing.
Okay, again. The merits of the applications are for a parking variance, nothing to do with the ongoings inside the.
Well, it has to do, is related because we are going to limit we are going to limit the approval to that use. If one day, if tomorrow they leave and someone wants to come there, a lab, that lab won't have the ability to do that unless it's the same type of lab that is remotely managed and all those things.
Deborah, my concern is, I don't have a problem agreeing with the parking variance. Understand that they're going to do some construction or demolishing or refurbishing the building, the structure, if you will, to comply with the application. And that's all, I'm good with that. I agree 100% with you on that. It's just that, hey, when can we address the operations?
Through a deal.
Would they have to come back for rezoning or a license, or is that out of our hands
No, they
completely?
will come for a license.
They'll come for a license, but that would be done through the city, through the business tax receipt official. At that point, the business tax receipt official would, inquire what the business is. Right now, all we're looking at is a variance.
A variance for parking, right?
Whether what they do inside doesn't really have to do with this application. We have to look at the merit of the application and whether this is whether you approve a variance or not. She still has the right to come for whatever license she is seeking.
Absolutely.
And she can still receive that license whether you give her this variance or not.
Absolutely. And the reason I ask this is, and again, we're dealing with parking. We're not dealing with anything else right now. My curiosity was, can we possibly attach some kind of restriction or some kind of
Yes.
to
The number of employees and the specific use.
right, but not to the type of operation.
No, yes, to the type of operation, yeah. Like what they are proposing, an automated lab that only requires 2 employees that will be proffered in a DOR. That's what we are doing.
Correct. I'm on board with that. I'm on board with that.
So
Si
you're
puedo-
approving with conditions.
Yes.
Si puedo agregar una información, las otras licencias ya están también como estamos aplicando para todos los que está pidiendo la ciudad.
Yeah, they are applying to all the licenses, and if I recall well, they are here because all the license applications need to be reviewed by the building and by the zoning department. So when the zoning department reviewed it, we said, well, this is a commercial use, you don't have the parking, you need a variance. That's why they are here.
Usted entiende mi preocupación sobre este caso. Yo estoy 100% con usted por la aplicación de darle la varianza de parqueo. 100%. Mi preocupación es, yo no quiero otro COVID-19 o COVID-23. Okay, esa es mi preocupación.
Ok, si te explico la razón, la rama del
Un
laboratorio.
momentito, por favor. My explanation to her was that I'm on board with the merits of her application for parking and the variance and all that. But I am also concerned because I don't want another COVID-19, or in this case, it'll be COVID-23, leaking out of it. But I also understand that it is not our place right now to deal with that.
Correct.
Pero te puedo responder,
Sí, por
señor,
favor.
She will explain.
Yes.
es que la rama de nosotros no tiene que ver con virus.
Her branch has nothing to do with viruses.
Es un laboratorio, pero analiza comida en granos.
Okay.
So it's a lab and analyzes food in grains.
En pulpa, comida. Nosotros no tenemos nada que ver con fluidos o virus. o-
Okay.
It only analyzes food and has nothing to
You
do
see,
with viruses.
thank you.
Fluids.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See, you put me at ease. Me tranquilizó más ahora mi preocupación. You put me at ease because, again, Mr. Attorney right here, you know, he made it very clear that the merit of the application, that's what we need to focus on, but I still cannot get away from, you know, other things, which I have the right to ask. Not to hold them against a decision for your application, but I can ask. Okay, ¿me entendió?
Sí, claro.
Okay. Is that cool with you? Thank you.
Through the chair. We're not changing the industrial zoning. It's still industrial.
It's
Is that-
still industrial, but we are restricting this variance to the specific use that they are requesting.
Oh, the specific use is the
Yeah,
one that
so
requires
we-
the 16
we are
spaces.
With the condition that this will be used as a fruit lab with 2 employees.
So if it's a different use, it could
If they.
satisfy the 3
and
parking space requirement.
want to put a different kind of lab that is not a fruit lab and that will have more than 2 employees, this variance is not valid. This variance is only for them.
Right, if it's something that's not potentially dangerous.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Thank you for
Thank you.
explaining. I'm a little.
Definitely.
All right, any more comments or questions from the board? Not at all. Anyone in the audience? Anyone in the electronic audience? This is the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second that motion
With condition.
with conditions.
With
Thank you.
conditions.
Motion by Mr. Iglesias, second by Mr. Casanova. Mr. Ulloa?
Yeah.
Mrs. Enriquez?
Yes.
Mr. Casanova?
Yes.
Mr. D. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias?
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Item has been approved with condition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6, special use permit to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district overlay. Variance permit to allow 45 residential units with an area ranging from 504 to 711 square feet, where 850 square feet is the minimum required, and only 10% of the units may have an area less than 850 square feet. Allow front setback of 0 feet, setback for stoops, encroaching into the front setback along East 10th Avenue, where 10 feet built to line is required, and allowed to waive the building mass and building frontage development standards. Property is located at 455 East 10th Avenue, Hialeah zoned M1 Industrial District. Applicant Cesar Mastra Esquire.
Thank you. Mr. Mitchell.
Good evening, Cesar Mestre, 8105 Northwest 155th Street, Miami Lakes, Florida. With me today is the architect online, Danny Alonso.
The property in this application is located on the east side of East 10th Avenue between Northeast 5th Street and Northeast 4th Street. The site is an unplatted 0.63 acre parcel and an adjacent 0.16 acre site that is currently labeled and used as East 4th Street, although it has never been dedicated as a right of way. The 0.63 acre parcel is improved with a 1-story warehouse built in 1959. The property has industrial land use and zoning as all properties along the east side of Northeast 10th Avenue from Southeast 10th Street to East 17th Street. The west side of East 10th Avenue has low-density residential land use from Southeast 5th Street up to East 24th Street, except for a commercial block 1 feet south of the subject property at the intersection of Hialeah Drive that also includes an MBD property granted by Ordinance 2022-55. The applicant is before the city with a proposal to redevelop the site with a new 8-story multifamily building, including 51 residential units, and including 6 2-story townhouses facing East 10th Avenue, lining the inferior floors of the parking garage. The top floors of the parking garage above the 3rd floor are lined with residential units on floors 4 to 8. Floors 4 to 8, it will be, let me show you the drawing. So, see. Here. In this way, you will understand the recommendation better. The concept behind the design is to front the single-family homes on the west side of East 10th Avenue with two-story townhouses to be consistent with the scale of the residential neighborhood and developing the apartment building tower above a 30 feet height and step back 23 feet from the front property line. The apartment building mostly fronts East 4th Street with its narrow side facing East 10th Avenue, also with the intent of minimizing the impact to the residential neighborhood. To be able to develop the site as proposed, the applicant is requesting a special use permit to allow the expansion of the MBD and variance to allow 45 residential units with sizes ranging from 504 to 711 square feet, where 800 square feet is the minimum required and only 10% of the units, 5 units, are allowed to have less than 850 square feet. The applicant is also requesting a variance to allow 0-foot setback for the townhouse stoops encroaching into the front setback along East 10th Avenue, where a 10 feet build-to-line setback is required. A variance is also requested to waive the massing and frontage requirement as required by code. The special use permit to expand the MBD may be approved since the adjacency of the property to a residential area makes the proposal consistent with existing uses. The area of the units may also be approved since the reduced area responds to market demands and help on rent affordability. The encroachment of the townhouse stoops into the front setback may also be approved since the proposed stoops add privacy to the townhomes entrances. The massing and frontage requirements may also be approved since although they differ from the code, the proposed massing includes a pedestal and articulation consistent with the intent of the development standards. However, since the subject property is not platted and it includes a non-dedicated right-of-way, the approval of the request shall be conditioned to the platting of the property and dedication of the right-of-way. The recommendation is to approve with conditions.
Thank you, Mrs. George. Mr. Metric?
Yeah, let me start with saying that we are okay with the conditions. We still have a short presentation, and I believe the architect would like something. This is the property. It's a big warehouse built in 1959. Next slide. This is the edge of the industrial area that starts on East 10th Avenue towards 37th Avenue. You've seen more and more projects like this come up with the MBD trying to increase the number of living units in the area. Next slide. This is another project that's been quite a while happening. We've changed the design a few times. The architect can speak to that. But basically, we didn't want to impose upon the properties that are across the street, the residential properties. So there's townhouses that are located right on 10th Avenue. Facing the residential properties, and then what I'll call the tower of the building is actually set back towards the warehouses so it wouldn't bother them. There is sufficient parking. There's several floors of parking. It's a total of 8 floors. If we can show the other slides, and I'm sure the architect is going to have more, and he'll be able to answer more regarding the actual design. But based on those, I will have the architect do his presentation online, and then I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Hi, good evening. Danny Alonso, offices at 1235 Coral Way, Suite 101 in Miami for OE Architecture on behalf of the client and Caesar. I do have something I'd like to present. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm being, it's telling me I have to let the hosts grant permission.
Try it again.
Yep, it's going right now. Can you see that?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so as Caesar was presenting, this is at 455 East 10th Avenue, 8-story apartment building. I just have a couple of extra slides to help add a little color and flesh out the project a bit. There's a view of the site, and here's a 3D view of the building that's to be demolished and replaced with the development. And that's what it looks like within its context. You can see at the base of the pedestal here, we did reduce the height to a 2-story townhouse configuration. So again, we kind of respect the properties that are abutting it in front step the tower back a little bit and we'll have a ground floor view so you can see how that actually interacts with the other side. The main entrance and lobby of the building will be here. We're using natural stone materials, also a part of your code to help, I think, in density and height requirements or credits, and also to add a little bit better design features into the design as a whole. Next to that are community spaces. We anticipate a gym and possibly meeting rooms there for the residents of the apartment building. Here we start going into a diagram view of what the breakdown of spaces looks like. So you could also better understand what, how the spaces are integrated into each other. The dark blue are the apartments. We have 25 1-1s and 15 2-1s. And also 5 studio apartments in that upper tower area. The light blue are the townhouses that we mentioned earlier. So those are 6 townhouses, 5 of which are loft townhouses with a double height space at the entrance. And then that orange space is the communal ground floor area, which is about 2,300 square feet. We do have 46,000 square feet of parking garage, which provides the 115 minimum parking stalls. So that's 2 per unit, plus the 25% guest parking requirement is fully satisfied in this proposal. And then that's a ground floor view of the apartment building from across the street. On the left there, you can kind of see a little bit of what a 1-story house looks like. They're mostly 1-story single family residential, and you can kind of see how this kind of cascades down so it's not too imposing on the residences next door. And we think brings a good, revitalization to this neighborhood and a better view from the houses for sure. And that about concludes what I wanted to present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. We'd be happy to answer any questions. We feel that this is a good redevelopment for the area. It should serve as an incentive for other ones to come forward. I will tell you that this was scheduled for P&Z once before. And there was a gentleman that came up and said that he was here to talk about it, or I promised that I would call him. I spoke to him, and he actually is a realtor. His client owns property in the warehouses behind us. And they said that they were totally in favor of this, and this may serve as a catalyst to have them come forward and do something similar.
This building will be strictly residential.
Strictly residential with the common areas on the first floor, the gym, the conference rooms, etc. Yes.
Right, but what
Yes.
I mean by that is no cafeterias, no restaurants, no commercials.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, any comments or questions?
Is it strictly rentals or is it gonna be?
It's, as far as I know, it's strictly rentals. That's correct.
The townhouses that may be.
No, as far as I know, there is no idea at this point to sell those, to create a condominium now. It's rentals.
The good thing is that since most of these properties sign a declaration of the restriction because the MBD requires that. And when they don't comply with the parking, we put there one provision that they cannot do condo conversion, because the problem that we see now with the properties that went through the condo conversion in 2006, 7, 8, now the residents come to us because when they have a problem, they come to us, hey, we don't have parking, help us with the parking.
Correct.
So in this case, the merit of the project is that they are providing all the required parking spaces, even the guest parking spaces.
Right.
So in the future, when the economy cycles come, it could be a possibility that they come for a condo conversion, and we won't put in this case a restriction because they have the parking. What the other restrictions that we ask them to proffer is no Airbnb, because you don't want that the Airbnbs will raise the rents because people will prefer to rent them like temporarily.
Correct.
So those are the things that will be in place, but the condo conversion maybe in the future might happen.
Yeah,
I
actually,
don't know if it's in the plans, but everyone is moved.
Like you said, if the market fluctuates and then creates it, I mean, that's what happens in the mid-2000s. Every single building was being converted. But here it could be good because they could actually deed out the unit with 2 parking spaces per unit and have 5 left over for the common areas. So it would work out well.
You mentioned that right now, all the warehouses around, there's no plans to develop another nice building like this. It's just unfortunate. It's so nice and then everything around is a
Two
warehouse.
blocks to the south, you approved not long ago, one building that is similar. The beauty of this one is are those townhouses lining the building and that they are kind of respectful to the adjacent family.
And that was Deborah's idea, by the way.
And you're gonna have, what is it, like 4 floors of parking, 4 floors?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly.
Yes, it's for
4 floors of parking and then the rest are apartments.
That area that's shaded out.
Yes, it
Actually, I
doesn't
have
coincide
three floors
because
of parking.
The floors of the parking are usually lower than the
Right,
floors of the
yeah.
unit, so there is very difficult to come.
It looks like a nice building.
And hopefully it's going to serve as incentive for others. Like I'm telling you, that the owner, I know they took down my name and took the information and they might be watching. They wanted to keep a close eye on it, but they were interested in doing something very similar.
It serves as an incentive and what we were talking the other day, and now you will look in the street and you will notice when you build something nice, then what was ugly before, when it was next to the ugly, it looks nicer. And if you go on Palm Avenue and look at that 3-story building painted in gray that is new, there are 2 old buildings there that we always assumed they were ugly, but now you pass by and they say, well, they were not that ugly because they're nice, maybe ugly look better.
Deborah, can the city do anything like, like I said, that's a really nice project and maybe across the street, the warehouse is a little crazy. Can you
Well,
tell the warehouse, hey, can you guys paint the facade or something?
That is, the good things are contagious and you will see around the city. If you go around, you will see, even myself, sometimes I am surprised and I say, wow, that's building. And then I remember that we approved it. At one point, we will have the time and go around and make pictures. I think it was your client that 2 duplexes across the street they wanted to 2 duplexes across the street from the school. And then they finally did 2 single-family homes.
Yeah.
They are built, they are nice, very nice. So and those things then promote the other one. Even this the thing that I say of the house next door looks nicer because there was an old house next door and someone in the office was looking at that and he said, oh, this old house looks nice. And I said, well, it looks nice because the other one looks so nice. So that's the little by little, all this zoning that we created many years ago has incentives to promote these kind of things that now they are happening. So our contribution to this is to create the incentives for this to happen.
Yeah, I think a lot of those warehouses, since they're so old, families have been holding them. They really don't know what to do with them. So I think if they see this.
And she said
it's
it's
gonna.
looking for the houses, to show them on the screen.
I'm gonna quote an old movie for you and for Danny on the electronic here. If you build it, it will come. And this is,
Yeah, it's really nice.
that's pretty, man. That's pretty.
Very nice.
Oh, wow.
I designed it, not Danny.
Well,
If you didn't like it, then he designed it.
hey.
That's much appreciated. Thank you.
Any comments or questions?
Not at all.
Anyone in the audience? Anyone in the electronic audience? Public hearing. It's a pleasure.
Motion to approve with conditions.
Second, that motion with conditions.
I'm sorry, I was looking for the houses. Okay, so motion by Mr.
Casanova.
Casanova, second by Mr. Iglesias.
Thank you.
Mr. D. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Casanova,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mrs. Enriquez,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez.
Yes.
Item has been approved.
Thank you very much. And thank you for allowing me to correct that technical
Not a
difficulty
problem.
earlier. I
Mr.
appreciate it.
Gonzalez, don't be a stranger, man. You know this is your house too. Good seeing you.
Thank you.
Where? No, I have the address.
No, we're pulling the example of those nice homes, so she can show them to you.
Yeah, but the thing is.
All we see is an FAL problem.
Yeah, I think that one day, when we have time, that I don't know when this would be, we should make a planning and zoning board tour and go around all the things that you approve and that now are built.
Should be
so you
nice.
See the impact that your vote has and all the things that we do that you see in paper that are there in the real life.
Road trip?
We will organize a road
Road trip? There you
Yes.
go. Hey, you heard her. She's the boss lady, so. She's
trying to
giving,
show
she's
you
giving you the permission to
Pero
organize a road
you
trip.
should go to Google, has better pictures.
Let me stop. Let me go to Google.
That was a nice project.
Okay, yes.
Here it is. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, little by little, it's coming. I know a lot that is coming. that you don't know,
You
that
see
you'll
it?
Be surprised.
These are the houses.
Look,
across
look
street.
at the house, look at the houses.
Ah, very nice.
What is this, sir?
This is on 740 33rd Street. You approve this. This was like a bigger lot and they came, they requested to build a single family house on each substandard lot and these are the houses that they built. Modern looking.
Okay. Moving along.
Miscellaneous items not requiring advertising. Item number 7, old business?
Any old business?
No old business. Item number 8, new business?
Well, in the next meeting, you will have to vote for the new chair
And vice chair.
and vice chair, so start thinking.
Isn't it in June?
No, in April,
Okay,
in April.
so start thinking.
The new chair
New chair and vice chair, next meeting.
And happy Easter, because
happy
we
Easter.
will
Oh,
see
yeah.
each other.
Happy
after
Easter.
Happy. All right. So, meeting's adjourned.